What's going on, people? So, side of the box down there. This is the right box, right? Yeah, good. Okay, cool. So, this is going to be more of a performance review than my typical breakdown style reviews like I just did moments ago for this Gel Cumulus 16. So, let's go ahead and jump on into things. I'll do the normal stuff in the first part, then the second part we'll just kind of breeze through. This right here is the Asics Metafuji Trail in orange and something else, some kind of pinkish color. I don't know what color they call this, but I like it. I will tell you that. Alright, so moving on from that, you guys ready? We're gonna get on into this thing. Down across the bottom, down there, what you're looking at is, Jesus Christ, that is disgusting. Okay, but otherwise, it's a lot of grip and stuff down there, right? A lot of traction because this is a trail shoe, right? So it's gonna be extra rugged. So you got that whole thing going on. Very cool. You know, it's got the little Asics grip thing down there in green in the middle and stuff. So yeah, you got a lot of stuff going on down there that is going to be good for a trail shoe. So that's very cool. Moving on up here to the midsole, right, you have Flight Foam Turbo, which has been used in some of the other Asics shoes. I was thinking it was the Super Blast 2, but then I was looking at things and it was the Magic Speed that I think had the turbo in it, right? I don't know. Something. Moving on past that though, the thing about this midsole is, other than like looking kind of cool with like these little speckles in the front and all that stuff, like it is a carbon plated trail running shoe, right? Which is kind of crazy to me, but it works out. We'll get into that in a little bit. On the inside though, not a whole lot going on in there. So that's what you have. Moving on past all that stuff though, giving you a shot of the upper back when these things were clean and whatnot before that trail 5-miler I did. Yeah, looks pretty alright, at least to me, right? A lot of the same stuff that you would expect from a trail shoe as far as materials and whatnot goes. But we're gonna get on in here. I'll give you at least some shots so you can kind of see what these things are looking like. But as far as the upper goes, right, just getting on into that piece of it, it's a very plasticky sort of feel, right? It's not the most comfortable thing compared to, like, you know, your normal running shoes, so don't expect this to be, but it's made for that, for the trails and stuff, so obviously it's going to be a little bit different. Then on the side here, I do like the way they did the Asics logo with these like slashes and stuff, right? Kind of makes me think of Wolverine in a way. So that's just kind of a cool thing, right? And it's very see-through, right? Because that's the thing that you often have on stuff. But otherwise, like as far as things go, visually speaking, just wanted to get you some shots in there and whatnot so you can have some kind of idea of what to expect. Now, past that though, we'll move on. And I'm going to do the sizing and all that stuff now, and then I'll just kind of tell you like my own personal feelings like afterwards, right? So normally it would be the opinion and then the sizing. Today we're doing the sizing and all that and performance, and then the overall opinion. So let's go ahead and get on into some sizing. I bought these in a size 9.5, which, you know, I was a little skeptical of in some ways because sometimes like trail shoes can be a little weird, you know, like when you actually get out there, because they felt fine when I tried them on here, but then when I got out there, I was like, okay, these are actually like working out very well, right? I've got the right amount of room because you got the right amount of room. I'll just leave it at that, right? Now, as far as the overall feeling, like I said, they felt good. Upper was kind of locked me in how I needed to be and all that stuff. Not as like fluid as like other standard race or running shoe uppers, but again, trail shoes, remember that. The big thing here, how did these actually work as far as functionality goes with this whole plated system going on? Dude, like these things, I was running through this forest, well not forest, but like Nolan Trail if you're familiar with Virginia. I was running through that 5-mile loop like so smooth, so fluid, and fairly quickly. I mean, it was like a 7:30, 7:40, so like not fast, but because, you know, there's still a lot of twists and turns, so you can't really speed up. But man, like it felt freaking effortless, and I was all about it, right? So finished the 5-mile loop in about 38 something, and then I did take these out on a road run the other day, like Tuesday night, Monday night, whenever it was. They felt fine out there, they did, but again, it's not made for like road running, so like they still felt a little bit weird just because the way the way the outsole is. You got that whole thing to deal with, so it's gonna work out well. I picked up some speed and I was really moving like out there, but it's just like ultimately they just weren't as comfortable as a lot of like other things that you would want to run in. But I'm just saying, you can take a trail shoe on the road, but don't do it the other way because your results will probably not be what you want. Unless what you want is pain and agony, sure, have at it, do what you do. But otherwise, these things right here, coming in at $250 is kind of a lot to ask in some ways, but I think it's warranted because, again, carbon plated shoes aren't cheap, and if you want actual performance, that's also not cheap most of the time either. So there you go, there's my take on how these things perform for me. Now I will say this as far as like getting into the personal opinion piece, right? Because if you're still with me, maybe you care how I actually feel about some things. When it comes to trail shoes, right, I have a handful of them, and I will say ultimately my preference is still to run around in the Pegasus Trail 5 or the Gore-Tex, depending on what the weather is like, right? Because to me, they're more comfortable overall, right? When you have a plated shoe, right, you got that plate down in there, and it just kind of sucks a little bit, right? Because you're walking and you're feeling that. Same with these Sonic Blasts that I'll talk about in a second. It can be very annoying. So if anything, maybe wear different shoes to the run, switch out, do this, and then put your other shoes back on. It's a very common thing, and shoes like this are why people do that. But also the price point, right? $250, it's a lot to ask for a lot of people, and who really needs the carbon shoes, in my opinion, is people who really want to make sure that they get the best times possible, right? If your times matter to you that much, cool, have at it. If they don't, if you're just out there wanting to like do well enough and be comfortable, that's why I stand by the Pegasus personally, right? So, because a lot of people in like the different groups lately, they see me in like all these carbon shoes and some of the things like, oh, so like, is that all you run in now? I'm like, no, I'm just trying these out for just so I can get my mind wrapped around them. I don't talk about the YouTube things; it's irrelevant. I just don't like to, mislead people and make them think that carbon is the only thing you want. So that's why I do switch it up when I'm actually out at things. So yeah, that's my take on these. I do like these a whole lot. It's just that the recommendation is going to be based on you and if it makes sense for you. And a lot of people, I feel like it doesn't. But they're fun though. They are definitely fun to run in. So if you have 250 lying around, check it out. I don't know. Past that, I think I'm good. From me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, wherever you are. On to the Asics Sonic Blast, which is also a plated shoe, not carbon. I don't know what material it is. Don't really know at all, honestly, but it's something. Later, people.